Mr. Chancellor, it is my honor to present to you Ms. Sylvia Schmelkes, sociologist and education researcher. Au fil des 4 dernières décennies, Madame Schmelkes a occupé des fonctions de premier plan en recherche, en défense des droits et en élaboration de politiques dans le domaine de l'éducation à l'échelle nationale et internationale, faisant souvent œuvre de pionnière. She has been one of Latin America's leading proponents of intercultural education. Her approach creates a respect for the riches and values of diversity, and she has developed methods to achieve equitable standards of education in her native Mexico, a country which, as she has noted, has 68 different languages and no centralized culture. Es decir, que ha sido uno de los mayores promotores de la educación intercultural en América Latina, con un enfoque que aprecia las riquezas y los valores de la diversidad. También ha desarrollado criterios para lograr normas equitativas en el sistema de la educación de México, su país, con el cual, según ella ha notado, el Canadá tiene muchas convergencias. Over her 4-decade career, she has championed inclusion and equitable models of education at the Mexican Secretariat of Public Education, UNICEF, UNESCO, and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Her leadership, especially as related to adult and rural education, has created improved living conditions for the country's most underprivileged groups, and has led to the founding of 9 intercultural universities that primarily serve its indigenous populations, with the involvement of their communities. Concordia a toujours soutenu que l'éducation devait être largement accessible pour favoriser le développement personnel et social. As our university continues this tradition of inclusivity with its Indigenous Directions initiative, Ms. Schmelkes' leadership and integrity provide an inspiring model. Among other honors, in 2008, Ms. Schmelkes received the Comenius Medal for UNESCO for her career as researcher. Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of Senate and the Board of Governors, it is my privilege and honor to present to you Ms. Sylvia Schmelkes so that you may confer upon her the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Congratulations, Dr. Schmelkes, and look forward to hearing your remarks to the convocation.
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President and Vice Chancellor, honored platform, guests, graduating class, family, and friends. It is difficult for me to express how I feel to be receiving this high honor from such a prestigious university, the University of Concordia, in a country that I feel very close to, Canada. I feel honored, of course, but I am also thankful, excited, moved, and very, very happy. I want to explain why I feel so close to Canada. I had the opportunity of designing, together with a few colleagues, a new institution in the Ministry of Education in the year 2000, which we named the National Coordination for Intercultural and Bilingual Education. We gave this institution 2 main objectives: to guarantee culturally and linguistically relevant education to Indigenous peoples, who in Mexico represent at least 12% of our population, at all levels of education, including higher education. And the second one, to offer intercultural education to students, all students at all levels, as a way of combating racism and developing an appreciation for the different others. Canada was a model for both of these objectives, particularly for the second one. In one visit I made to Canada, I attended a fair that was called a celebration of diversity. I adopted that as my institution's motto and have been learning from Canadian education ever since. Canada is the country in the world that, in my opinion, best develops intercultural education. The reason why Concordia University decided to choose me for this very important distinction was precisely my institution's work in developing intercultural universities in Mexico. I find this to be particularly significant, and I feel very proud to be honored for something we did by those who, for me, were models. I also feel that this award needs to be shared with all of those who worked with me to fulfill this difficult but transcendental dream. No one achieves goals by oneself. There is always a team that works together, where each member contributes his or her special talents and motivations to a common goal. This was, of course, the case in the conception and construction of the first 9 intercultural universities in Mexico, where I had the opportunity of participating. So I share this award with each and every one of those who walked the road with me towards having universities aimed at giving Indigenous peoples the right to high-quality higher education that respected and strengthened their language and developed knowledge and pride in their culture. Thank you all. I would like to dedicate a few words to the students who are graduating today and who are sharing this ceremony with me. There are things that I have learned in life that are worth communicating, and a few of them are the following. Always believe in your fellow person. It leads you nowhere to be wary or suspicious of others. On the contrary, it is important to have the certainty that those with whom we coincide in life are worthy of our complete trust and respect. Sometimes people disappoint us, but it is better to be disappointed than to lose the opportunity of learning from others and gaining their friendship. Have a reason for doing things and do things that have an impact in making this world a little better. Sometimes this principle implies sacrifices, because important actions do not always have an economic retribution, and sometimes carrying them out has an opportunity cost. But the internal satisfaction that results from committing to causes for the common good is the best retribution. The school I went to in primary and high school had a motto, Serviam, which means I serve. That impacted me profoundly. Do things for others, accept hard chores, volunteer for tasks that others do not want to carry out. This attitude, I have found, always boomerangs sooner or later, many more times later than sooner, but when it does, you realize that it was worth serving. Opt for dialogue in case of conflict. Conflict is a good thing. It often does away with our certainties and opens up our mind to other possibilities. But the drawback of conflict is that it can easily produce violence. Violence, not only physical, but psychological and structural, always harms and stunts growth. Be aware. Be aware of your environment, of your country, of the planet, of their economic, social, political, and environmental problems. Let these guide your judgment, your decisions, and your actions. Countries are built thanks to the commitment of many individual citizens who see the need for organized action. Particularly, think of others who are at a greater disadvantage than you, as President Shepard just said, and put yourselves in their shoes when you make political decisions or develop public projects. Consider your privileges and strive for social justice and the distribution of opportunities. Please do not think that I have followed these 6 principles that I have wanted to share with you. Quite the contrary. However, I have learned the consequences of not following them. And this is the reason why I wanted to communicate these lessons learned the hard way. I want to take the opportunity of congratulating the graduate students. You have studied in a great country and in a very prestigious university. You are going into the world well-armed with capacities and values which I know you will put to work for the good of humankind. You are entering your profession with energy and enthusiasm, which I hope you never lose. I am proud to receive a degree on the same day as you from Concordia University. Finally, I would like to give a special thanks to the Mexican Consulate in Montreal and also to the university authorities. Thank you, students, faculty, parents. Thank you, friends from Canada, for joining me today, with a special mention to the Ambassador Estibil and his wife, the General Consul of Mexico in Montreal. And thank you, husband, son, daughters, for having come all the way to share my happiness. Thank you very much.
Dr. Schmelkes, you have honored us with your values of sustainable multiculturalism and respect for our Indigenous populations. Thank you for making the world a better place.